Harwin Strong isn't the most memorable character out of House of the Dragon's first season. A lot had to be cut to make the 10-episode format that executives and showrunners love. Harwin's character is one of the victims. The lore books don't go crazy in depth with him or anything, just paint a more detailed picture. For one, he held the status of the strongest man in the Seven Kingdoms during this era of the story. I always like to say that Harwin was the strong man, and what we see in the current story with the Mountain. Strength doesn't always make you invincible though. Criston Cole was far more skilled in battle. Think of Barristan Selmy or Jaime Lannister before losing his sword hand. The most deadly easily going to Prince Daemon Targaryen, or the Oberyn Martell of this era. Both half mad and know just where to look to make up for their weaknesses. Daemon picked out Caraxes for a bonded partner, a beast that matched his fierceness, while Oberyn studied poisons and possibly dark magic. But enough about the current timeline. Prequels are where it's at. What do these three guys have in common? All had their time with Princess Rhaenyra. Clearly she has a type. It is written to seem like Harwin made his intentions known early into coming to King's Landing with his father. The Lord of Harrenhal brought 2 maiden daughters and 2 sons to court with him. The girls became handmaids to Princess Rhaenyra, whilst the elder brother, Sir Harwin Strong, called Breakbones, was made a captain in the Gold Cloaks. The younger boy, Larys the Clubfoot, joined the King's Confessors. Not the highest positions for Harwin and his younger brother Larys, but not too bad. A captain of the Gold Cloaks looks over one of the 7 gates that gain entrance to King's Landing, so 7 captains at any given time under one commander. Daemon only recently resigned from his position of commander of the City's Watch, only lasting a year on the job that he was thriving in. But his impact on this line of work was permanent. The city cops were now feared and respected. Daemon with the crown's gold provided all the men with a gold cloak and proper equipment for the job, boosting morale. But what it also did was make the Gold Cloaks extremely loyal to Daemon. They were so biased that you can even call the City Watch Daemon's personal army. Harwin, despite his high birth and reputation of Breakbones, never got the promotion to commander. A captain was all he would ever be. As for how he became known as Breakbones, it's not explicitly stated aside from him being the strongest around. With no battles in the Riverlands for Harwin to have participated in, the only other option was tourneys. The big guys regularly dominate in the melee. In times of peace, like what we saw in King Viserys' realm, tourneys pop up here and there to entertain the small folk and give knights a chance to make a name for themselves. Cool epithets, like Breakbones. 4 years into their stay at King's Landing, Lord Lionel Strong would be appointed to Hand of the King, replacing Otto Hightower. At an unknown point during Viserys' reign, Larys was also promoted from Confessor to Master of Whisperers, earning himself a seat on the small council. Larys was all brains, while like most fictional big strong character archetypes, Harwin was the brute. Their father was known to be the best of both worlds. So the Strongs, who were only recently given the seat of Harrenhal by the previous king, were really making a name for themselves, being close allies to the Targaryens. They've always been around, being one of the more ancient families, but the Targaryens really elevated their power and status. Though the heir to the family, Harwin wasn't making as big of a ripple in King's Landing's court. Despite this, he had the balls to make a move for Princess Rhaenyra's hand in marriage. He wasn't the only one with eyes on the most sought-after girl in this world. The question of selecting a suitable consort for Rhaenyra had been of concern to King Viserys and his council. Great lords and dashing knights fluttered around her like moths around a flame, vying for her favor. When Rhaenyra visited the Trident in 112, the sons of Lord Bracken and Blackwood fought a duel over her, and a younger son of House Frey made so bold as to ask openly for her hand. Fool Frey, he was called thereafter. In the west, Sir Jason Lannister and his twin, Sir Tyland, vied for her during a feast at Castle Rock. The sons of Lord Tully of Riverrun, Lord Tyrell of Highgarden, Lord Oakheart of Old Oak, and Lord Tarly of Hornhill paid court to the princess, as did the Hand's eldest son, Sir Harwin Strong. Breakbones, as he was called, was heir to Harrenhal and said to be the strongest man in the Seven Kingdoms. It's clear to everyone, though, who would be selected. None of these guys had the requirements. Targaryens rarely marry outside the family, and when they do, it's usually to their closest allies, the Valerians, who themselves have been pumped up with magical Targaryen blood over the generations. Rhaenyra didn't have much of an interest in marriage, but eventually had little choice after King Viserys threatened taking away her status as heir to the Iron Throne. She was ordered to marry her cousin Laenor Velaryon, a match that didn't excite either of them. Laenor wasn't a guy's, an open secret. The books only speculate on Rhaenyra's feelings for her uncle Daemon, and even her sworn shield, Kingsguard member Criston Cole. House of Dragon shows us, after being pushed away by Daemon after he led her on, she seduced Criston Cole. In that same night, even running into Harwin, but nothing more than just stares. That's kind of what their limited relationship was before the big time jump. One of the arguments presented in the books is that Kristen turned down Rhaenyra's advances before the big wedding day, and that pushed her to Harwin. Yet for all her beauty, her entreaties fell on deaf ears. Sir Kristen, a man of honor and true to his vows. Even when Rhaenyra used the arts she had learned from her uncle Daemon, Cole would not be swayed. Scorned and furious, the princess donned her cloak again and swept out into the night, where she chanced to encounter Sir Harwin Strong, returning from a night of revelry in the stews of the city. Breakbones had long desired the princess, and lacked Sir Kristen's scruples. It was he who took Rhaenyra's innocence, shedding her maiden's blood upon the sword of his manhood, according to Mushroom, who claims to have found them in bed at break of day. However it happened, whether the princess scorned the knight, or he her, from that day forward, the love that Kristen Cole had formerly borne for Rhaenyra turned to loathing and disdain, and the man who had hitherto been the princess's constant companion and champion became the most bitter of her foes. Mushroom, a court jester that somehow just has the juiciest, crudest drama, is always contended with a more conservative retelling. The books also suggest it may have been possible that Kristen confessed his love to Rhaenyra and asked her to run away together across the narrow sea. In this scenario, she turns him down, just like what we see in House the Dragon. Mushroom is the only one that claims to know how Rhaenyra and Harwin first got together, a random encounter after rejection by Kristen. The events that took place around the wedding is where a lot of the cut content happens. The wedding was celebrated with 7 days of feasts and jousting, the greatest tourney in many a year. Amongst the competitors were Queen Alicent's siblings, 5 sworn brothers of Kingsguard, Breakbones, and the groom's favorite, Sir Joffrey Lonmouth, known as the Knight of Kisses. When Rhaenyra bestowed her garter on Sir Harwin, her new husband laughed and gave his own to Sir Joffrey. They weren't even hiding what was going on. Daemon, Rhaenyra, and even Laenor are a special kind of reckless, even for the Targaryens, who I think have a rebellious nature ingrained in most of them. Denied Rhaenyra's favor, Kristen Cole turned to Queen Alicent instead, wearing her token. The young Lord Commander of the Kingsguard defeated all challengers, fighting in a black fury. He left Breakbones with a broken collarbone and a shattered elbow, prompting Mushroom to name him Broken Bones thereafter. But it was the Knight of Kisses who felt the fullest measure of his wrath. Cole's favorite weapon, the Morning Star, and the blows he'd rained down on Sir Laenor's champion cracked his helm and left him senseless in the mud. Born bloody from the field, Sir Joffrey died without recovering consciousness 6 days later. Mushroom tells us that Sir Laenor spent every hour of those days at his bedside. King Viserys was most wroth as well. A joyous celebration had become the occasion of grief and recrimination. It was said that Queen Alicent did not share his displeasure, however. Soon after, she asked that Kristen Cole be made her personal protector. Kristen Cole took on his resentment for Rhaenyra on the people closest to her in the tourney. We knew he was a good tourney fighter after his early victory against Daemon in a past joust, but this was a new side to Kristen. I'm sure he hoped to have killed Harwin as well as Sir Joffrey, but he was built a little beefier. Not long after, Rhaenyra set sail for Driftmark, accompanied by her handmaids, 2 of them the daughters of the hand and sisters to Harwin, and the full Mushroom and her new champion, none other than Breakbones himself. In the same year as the wedding, it was soon announced that the princess was with child, born in the waning days of 114 AC. The boy was a large, strapping lad with brown hair, brown eyes, and a pug nose. Sir Laenor had the aquiline nose, silver white hair, and purple eyes that bespoke his Valyrian blood. Princess Rhaenyra had given birth to a second son late in the year 115 AC. The child was named Lucerys. Septimius tells us that both Laenor and Sir Harwin were at Rhaenyra's bedside for this birth. Again, more unnecessary recklessness from the dragon-riding newlyweds. Like his brother Jace, Luke had brown eyes and a healthy head of brown hair, rather than the silver-gilt hair of Targaryen princelings. But he was a large and lusty lad, and King Viserys was delighted with him when the child was presented at court. These feelings were not shared by his queen. Do keep trying, Queen Alicent told Sir Laenor, according to Mushroom. Sooner or late, you may get one who looks like you. And the rivalry between the Greens and the Blacks grew deeper, finally reaching the point where the queen and the princess could scarce suffer each other's presence. Thereafter, Queen Alicent kept to the Red Keep, whilst the princess spent her days on Dragonstone, attended by her ladies, Mushroom, and her champion, Sir Harwin Strong. Her husband Sir Laenor was said to visit frequently. Laenor didn't even live on Dragonstone. In 117 AC, on Dragonstone, Princess Rhaenyra bore yet another son. Prince Laenor was at last permitted to name a child after his fallen friend, Sir Joffrey Lonmouth. Joffrey Valyrion was as big and red-faced and healthy as his brothers, but like them he had brown eyes, brown hair, and features that some at court called common. The whispering began again. Amongst the Greens, it was an article of faith that the father of Rhaenyra's sons was not her husband Laenor, but her champion, Harwin Strong. Mushroom says as much in his testimony, and Grand Maester Mellos hints at it, while Septon Eustace raises the rumors only to dismiss them. To prevent further conflict and put an end to these vile rumors and base calumnies, King Viserys further decreed Sir Eric Carga of the Kingsguard would serve as her sworn shield, while Breakbones returned to Harrenhal. Though Viserys would reign for 9 more years, the bloody seeds of the Dance of the Dragons had already been planted, and 120 AC was the year when they began to sprout. So 120 AC is remembered as the year of the Red Spring in the story. 3 major events occurred that we got to see play out on screen. House Valerion was devastated, with both of the Sea Snake's children, Laena and Laenor, dying this year. The first bit of blood was shed between the Greens and Blacks, with it being the little kids to kick off the conflict when Aemond had his eyes slashed out after taking Vhagar for himself. The fire in Harrenhal that took the lives of Harwin and his father Lionel also happened in the year of the Red Spring. Shortly after their arrival, a fire broke out in the tower where they were sleeping, and both father and son were killed along with 3 of their retainers and a dozen servants. The cause of the fire was never determined. Some put it down to a simple mischance, while others muttered that Black Heron's seat was cursed and brought only doom to any man who held it. Many suspected the blaze was set intentionally. Mushroom suggests that the Sea Snake was behind it, as an act of vengeance against the man who had cuckolded his son. Septon Eustace more plausibly suspects Prince Daemon, removing a rival for Princess Rhaenyra's affections. Daemon's wife Laena was gone, so not the craziest theory. Others have put forth the notion that Larys Clubfoot might have been responsible. With his father and elder brother dead, Larys Strong became the Lord of Harrenhal. House of Dragon gives us another motivation for his intentional arson on his own family. Larys is a powerful green supporter working in the shadows, doing favor after favor for Alicent in exchange for his personal perverted desires. This whole new side of Larys was never delved into in the books. He was just a quiet and mysterious character that few paid attention to. We don't know Larys' relationship with his brother and father, but it must not have been great. Larys is a psychopath willing to take things this far. The most disturbing possibility was advanced by none other than Grand Maester Mellos, who muses that the king himself might have given the command. If Viserys had come to accept the rumors about the parentage of Rhaenyra's children were true, he might well have wished to remove the man who had dishonored his daughter, lest he somehow reveal the bastardry of her sons. But that doesn't fit with Viserys' character, does it? Before House the Dragon, I was sold on it being Daemon behind it all. Still in 120 AC, Daemon and Rhaenyra quickly married each other without the king's leave. Viserys would have not allowed it so soon after the deaths of Laena and Laenor, to not insult the grieving Sea Snake. Daemon and Rhaenyra also went to work in the baby-making department. As the year waned, Rhaenyra brought forth a small but robust son, pale princeling with dark purple eyes and pale silvery hair. She named him Aegon. This new Aegon's appearance would complicate things further for the 3 strong boys. But Daemon and Caraxes just completed a crazy long training arc fighting the Stepstones. Daemon would defend Jace's claim. He didn't really care to see his son Aegon rule one day over Jace, cause Jace was gonna marry his daughter anyways. All Daemon cares about is being named king, and he'll get his way as long as Rhaenyra's succession becomes a reality. Harwin would only be remembered as the man who fathered Rhaenyra's 3 common-looking children, who only hurt Rhaenyra's claim to the Iron Throne with a common-looking heir like Jacaerys. Even Rhaenyra didn't seem bothered by his death, since Harwin had always been third on her list of desired men, after Daemon and Criston Cole. A painful death was his prize for the dumb and dangerous game he played with the reckless Rhaenyra. Thanks for watching this one, guys. Hope this fills in some world building for some of you guys.